Okay, we're going to talk about Log4j.
Yeah,
It's a big vulnerability.
excited about it.
You're excited about it. I'm excited about
Mhm.
it. The whole internet's excited about
I
it
feel like only security people are excited about it, and everyone else is rightfully freaked out about it.
and mad. Yes.
Yeah,
And angry. Yeah,
and having a hard week,
that's
few
right.
weeks.
That's right. Basically, almost anyone in tech that I know, even not security, but IT, has been dealing with it in one way or the other.
I saw a YouTube video, a person saying that like Time magazine had an article about it, which is basically like Miley Cyrus tweeting about like her Kubernetes instances. Like that's like the level of weirdness.
Yes. Yes.
And I stole that joke right now.
Nice. Okay, good, good. The reason that everyone, every single buddy, and Time Magazine has it in their news, their article, is because it's distributed by Apache Log4j, and it's on almost everything in the world,
Mhm.
everywhere.
Does your microwave have it?
I I was awake the other night wondering if the toaster has it. But things like embedded systems that we had no idea. Like at first we didn't know, but this hit on Thursday 2 weeks ago, and East Coast time, Thursday night, and we didn't know at that time, but over the weekend we learned VMware even had it, right? The Log4j vulnerability. It's like everything
I think that's Apache based, really.
Apache based. Uh, some distributions or some Apache installations leverage a different logging function for Java, but if you're using Log4j, the attack is you want the Apache server to log something on purpose. And if you can get it to log something on purpose, you can inject this JNDI lookup string and have the machine you're targeting, do that lookup.
So it basically you're injecting a piece of code into the logging mechanism, and then it goes, fetches a file, and executes it.
That's right. That's right.
Nice. That's cool.
Perfect.
I feel like we should talk about that. GNDI is really just like a library to fetch like domain records and all that, and it can download and execute, but it's only on very specific protocols.
JNDI, yeah, Java Naming and Directory Interface. Yeah, yeah.
Good for you for learning that.
I got it right this time. the the it supports so many other a bunch of other protocols. You mentioned LDAP. It supports DNS. It supports this RMI protocol. I'm not really hip to much. And then it supports this one called IIOP.
Can you use all of them to download stuff, like to execute code? Because like DNS.
Oh yeah, so what this JNDI vulnerability is doing is trying to load another Java class in the context of the logging mechanism and
Yeah, you
run
can't really deliver a class inside DNS.
in DNS, right? I don't think so. We've seen some interesting things while we've been looking at customers who may have been impacted. And one thing you pointed out last week was the host name variable being used in the string.
Yeah. So basically, they're using variables inside the actual DNS name that they're calling. So if the domain is evil.com, they'll use hostname.evil.com, which basically then is logged into the hacker or threat actor log server, and then they know the host name, they know the domain if they want to, the username that's currently connected to the system, and any information. It's a great tactic to exfiltrate some quick data quickly without like really investing too much into it.
Very cool way to just send one GET request to a machine. And if you code it right with variables, you can get all this data you're talking about, username, machine name, all of any leveraging those variables. Really cool. Well, very interesting, we
Mhm.
should say.
We need to stop using positive words to describe cyber attacks.
That's
I feel
right.
like that gives the wrong impression.
It does. It does give us the wrong impression. Some of the activity that we've seen since it's starting has been really noisy at first. The very first, I think, attack or delivery of malicious code that I saw in the wild was a coin miner.
Mm-hmm.
Really noisy.
Really noisy, just like getting out there, seeing if we can, not we, if they can exploit it. So like the first thing they do is put on a coin miner, see if it sticks, and it's a quick way to earn some money while they figure out the rest. So it's a tactic we see with other vulnerabilities as well. Hack, put on a coin miner, figure out like the next steps of the attack, or if you want to continue the attack. But yeah, we're seeing it here as well. Actually, I also started looking into basically any type of attacks we've seen happening already. So we have seen some ransomwares and some APTs. But really what's interesting here is what we don't see, because we don't see really complicated ransomware. It's more commodity stuff. We don't see, we see APTs, but not in part of a major campaign. It seems like they're still trying to test the waters. It's not yet a part of a big exploitation as far as we know. It could have been before it was even published. But I feel like it will evolve in the next few months into like something major.
Very much. The biggest concern we have on the team in incident response is that folks are running around, bad actors are running around grabbing access right now, installing shells, whatever they're doing, and then going away from those machines and being stealth, not talking to them. And then in 2 or 3 months, they'll be back. If it's a stealthy nation state threat actor, they won't do noisy things like coin miner and ransomware. They will be very quiet.
Yeah.
I think that's it for activity.
Evasions?
Evasions. There's actually a wild array of different ways you can like segment the JNDI.
Yeah, basically because like what I've seen so far, because it's it's so easy to exploit, it's also very easy to detect. Basically it's one string. If you have the if you have the JNDI inside of it, then it's probably not a good command to go over like from a client to a server. But some more advanced or more sophisticated ways to exploit it just breaks up the JNDI command, and you're like it's a cat and mouse kind of game. So the attackers will do a new evasion, they'll break it up a few times, will resignature it, and it will go on until there are no more new ideas to be found on how to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going on. It's been going on for like since it got out, and it will continue probably for the next few weeks.
I'm
New
quite
ideas.
sure.
I saw one using XML to go over it, which is also interesting.
Some of the initial ones too were, I think there's the lowercase variable stuff too. I don't know if it's a Java call or inside JNDI, the two lower feature there, but some of the attacks that as they're coming in, if the pattern matcher is just looking for JNDI at the starting of the string or there, they were putting a two lower, it's still lowercase at the end, and that will mess up your patterns.
Java,
and yeah, so obfuscations all the time and evasions. The XML that hurts my brain. That's scary. What should we do right now? What should folks be doing if they haven't done anything? And it's probably already too late if you haven't, but we have protection.
For some things, don't lose hope.
That's right.
You can still block all the next years to come of people exploiting this vulnerability.
That's true.
what should they do? Patch,
Patch,
and IPS signature,
and
preferably on prevent, but yeah.
that's right.
yeah.
And watch, by the way, watch the patches. Even up to version 16, there was a denial of service. I believe it's 15, it's 16 or 15. Or every time there's been a patch, there's been a workaround or a denial of service vulnerability inside. So keep an eye on the Log4j patch levels, because we need to keep updating as
Yeah,
it
it's a
goes.
process. It's not a one-time activity. It's a process to keep up with that. Yeah, cool.
There are a few patterns we can look for in logs. You know, what the biggest and easiest win is to do a case-insensitive grep for JNDI. Now, that can yield a lot of hits if you use Log4j and JNDI lookups to load other Java classes in a legitimate way in your applications and stuff. So it could lead to a lot of false hits. So in addition to looking for JNDI, look for some of the protocols that it supports, the RMI, the IIOP, the DNS, and the LDAP next to that string in your logs. And then beyond that, anything else you can think of, Hadar, that people would want to try or do on their
I think like generally another good recommendation to check if you're vulnerable is to look for the relevant classes, plugins. That is a good activity to do, like without checking if you've been compromised. It's just to check if you're vulnerable. But patch anyway, guys. Like the good thing about this vulnerability is it's in a logging service. So every time it's exploited, it's also logged. There's no way to exploit it without logging it. So it's a win for us, for security researchers.
For forensics reasons, it's a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for coming to our discussion.
Thank you for joining us in our houses, in our private conversation that we recorded. All right.
Cool. Okay.
Bye.